So the spruce bark beetle is actually one of the most devastating pests in all of eastern Canada. In the park particularly, it has experienced approximately 20 years worth of infestation. The first instances of attack were identified in 2003, but since then thousands of red spruce trees have succumbed to death and decay. This constitutes one of the most destructive disturbances in all of the park's history. Logging and agriculture have drastically altered the structure of the region's forest system. The park's history of spruce budworm outbreaks have consolidated spruce stands, setting the stage for the epidemic we see today.
We set out to expand on the previous surveys that were done in 2014 and 2010 regarding the spruce bark beetle infestation in the park. And more specifically, we wanted to see where the spruce bark beetle has expanded to and how many spruce trees it has killed since it was last surveyed.
So our area survey was done on a Cherokee. We took off from Moncton and went to Fundy National Park. Took a total of 600 pictures using a Nikon D600. We did our area survey around early October because of the fall colors and how we could differentiate the spruce trees from the other trees in the forest.
So once we edited and culled all of our 600 photos, we went into all of our identified clusters and we actually pinpointed each individual infested tree. And once we had done that, using Photoshop and GIMP, we actually went in and classified each tree. We used a modified Maser decay scale with 4 major decay subtypes. Class 1, dead reds. Class 2, dead trees that still have both their large branches and their small branches. Class 3, trees that only exhibit their larger branches. And Class 4, dead poles that have actually dropped all of their branches and most of their bark.
We identified over 5,000 dead or decaying spruce trees in various stages of their decay, including 20% in Class 1, meaning that they died within the last year in the 2021 growing season. And then the Class 1 and 2 trees were found to be over 60% of identified trees, implying that in the last 3 or 4 years there's been a massive increase in the amount of spruce mortality in the park. Furthermore, we found these clusters to be mostly located within river valleys and along the coast of the park, but they have been expanding further and further up the banks.
So from our study, we came to know that the infestation is rapidly expanding and the expansion is uneven. The main factors that influencing the bark beetle expansion is the defense capabilities of red spruce against the bark beetles, the reproductive health of the bark beetles, and also the predation on bark beetles.
Well, bark beetle populations are primarily controlled through winter cold snaps, in which the temperatures drop below their supercooling point, which is generally regarded to be about negative 34 degrees Celsius, in which they're killed through freezing. Only the adults and the larvae are cold hardy. The pupae will die if they're exposed to too cold winter temperatures. In 2014, that was the last really cold winter that the Maritimes have seen, this region has seen. And since then, the winters have gotten warmer and warmer, and that likely explains the results we saw where the beetles have expanded their territory and population significantly since around 2014, especially the Class 1 and Class 2 dead trees. Well, as spring comes earlier and fall grows later into the year, the winters become shorter, they become warmer overall, and this gives the bark beetle more time to reproduce. They become bivoltine and trivoltine, meaning that they reproduce 2 generations or 3 generations within the same season as opposed to typical 1. Meaning that there are more and more bark beetles reproducing, becoming adults, going to attack more trees, continuing to reproduce, and overall creating more beetles in the park. And as temperatures continue to rise, trends continue to project that we're going to keep getting warmer and warmer winters. The beetle will just keep expanding, and the outlook for red spruce just gets worse and worse every year.
So we determined that over 14 clusters, we counted nearly 5,000 dead or decaying trees. And this is largely the consequences of climate change, as warming winters and expanding growing seasons have allowed these eruptive beetle populations to really prosper. The beetle is just going to continue expanding into the park's remaining spruce forests.